Now, the first thing that you need to know about designing at scale is that the little things really matter. Here's a really good example of how a very tiny design element can make a big impact. Now, the team at Facebook that manages the Facebook Like button decided that it needed to be redesigned. The button had kind of gotten out of sync with the evolution of our brand, and it needed to be modernized. Now, you might think, well, it's a tiny little button. It probably is a pretty straightforward, easy design assignment. But it wasn't. Turns out there were all kinds of constraints for the design of this button. You had to work within specific height and width parameters. You had to be careful to make it work in a bunch of different languages, and be careful about using fancy gradients or borders because it has to degrade gracefully in old web browsers. The truth is, designing this tiny little button was a huge pain in the butt. Now, this is the new version of the button, and the designer who led this project estimates that he spent over 280 hours redesigning this button over the course of months. Now, why would we spend so much time on something so small? It's because when you're designing at scale, there's no such thing as a small detail. This innocent little button is seen on average 22 billion times a day, and on over 7.5 million websites. It's one of the single most viewed design elements ever created. Now, that's a lot of pressure for a little button and the designer behind it. But with these kinds of products, you need to get even the tiny things right. Now, the next thing that you need to understand